What is up, my friend? Welcome to episode 144 of the Anthony John Amix podcast. And today I'm bringing on an incredible guest to talk about building a culture of vulnerability. Now, this guy has an incredible story, and this was, I thought, a great conversation. So if you're wanting to increase your leadership ability and build an incredible team who will help you take your business to the next level, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to the Anthony John Amix podcast. The one and only podcast designed to help you become unstoppable in life and business. My name is Anthony John Amix. My friends call me AJ. And my goal with this podcast is to help you remember who you truly are so you can maintain your center in the chaos, embody your potential, and unlock freedom in your life and business. That being said, let's get into today's show. All right, welcome back. Now, before I tell you about today's guest and bring him onto the show, if you're at a place where you want to generate more revenue while converting your internal pressure into fuel for your potential, so you can really go out and, live your big vision and have more fun and do more of what you love, I have something for you. Every single week, I set aside a few hours to talk with online entrepreneurs about what's working, what's not working, and really help them create a plan to create their visions faster. Now, if you want to be one of those people, you can go to talkwithaj.com and grab one of those times to talk with me directly. Normally, I charge up to about $1,000 for a strategy session with me. But since you're listening to this podcast, I'll give you an opportunity to talk with me. I'll just hook you up, right? So I'm going to warn you now, don't book the call if you're not serious about creating results, because I like working with people who are willing to really dive deep to figure out what's really preventing them from having the outcomes that they want right now. So if you're an online entrepreneur, you're driven, you're hungry, and you're ready to kind of create your next level results, go to talkwithaj.com to grab a time to talk with me. With that being said, let me tell you about today's guest. His name is Avi Arya. He's the founder and the chief mogul of Internet Moguls. He's also the president of the Digital Masters Alliance and runs the Ask Avi Arya University, which is an online program that trains businesses and personal brands on his micro video method. In addition to training businesses and budding entrepreneurs to grow their business with his micro video method, he also helps the hospitality companies to master the game of skyrocketing their business digitally by leveraging the attention of their customers on various social media platforms. He's viewed as a highly influential personal brand of India in the field of digital marketing and the hospitality industry. He was even named amongst the top 25 influencers by Influensive. He's ranked as one of the top 100 digital icons of the region by Impact Magazine, and he's credited to create over $100 million in revenues for his clients. So simply stated, man, the dude's a digital legend. So let's bring him onto the show. Avi, welcome to the podcast, brother.
I am delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
Dude, I'm excited to have you on. I haven't connected with you a whole lot. I was really fascinated by your story. Your story that you shared when I was on a coaching thing with you and your team. You shared the story of going from driving streetcars to your father having a hard time financially, I believe, or something happened in the business. And you being the oldest son had to hop in and help with the business. And you had then turned and grew his business ginormously. Awesome story. But here's what the thing that fascinated me the most. I think in today's culture, how old were you then? I don't know. You're 19,
18,
20, 18.
18, 19, yeah.
My story is if that happened in Western culture, at least, maybe it happened in your culture today, we can talk about it, to an 18-year-old, how they would have been bitter. And rather than being bitter, you found a way to transmute it into a way to serve you, to serve your father, and create something that was a win for you. And that's what I'm really more interested in is how did you make that decision rather than being bitter and resentful? How did you transmute that into finding a win for you and a way to serve your father and your family and a lot more people at large?
So thank you for asking that question. I don't think everybody's ever asked me that question. So I am extremely close to my mom and dad, and I know that they always had my best interest at heart. I knew they were not fearless. Some human beings are fearless. My mom and dad were always very overprotective about the family. But at the same time, I knew that they had my best interest at heart. So I do mention in my story that my dad told me, you have two options as the eldest son in the family: join the family business from tomorrow morning, or feel free to leave the house. I darted out of the room and I was like, this was too overwhelming, too much for me to manage. I went outside. My mom was waiting outside, and I had a nice 4 hour conversation with her. I poured out my heart. I broke down. I kicked and I screamed. I did whatever I could. At the end of the 4 hour conversation, I think better sense prevailed, because the very next morning I found myself behind the reception of my dad's small 27-room hotel. So that's how it started. So, I knew my mom and dad grew I speak to them every morning, even now, whatever I get stuck with, whatever thoughts and ideas I have. The one thing I knew was that they always had my best interests at heart. I just knew that. And I always knew that they they're righteous people. They would never do anything which is wrong. So they didn't say, forget your dreams. They said, this time we all need each other.
Hmm.
So
Now, was that
and
like a cultural thing, or was that just something that you, as a human, just innately knew about your parents?
I think it's both.
Hmm.
As I was growing, the generation I was growing up in, it was more cultural. Now, when I share this story on various stages in India, or when I go on a different podcast in India, a lot of youngsters don't really resonate with me as they would have maybe 20 years ago. And I get that. And I get that. And I always say, stay close to the family. And the family doesn't mean you stay in the same house like I did. We still stay in the same house when I'm in India. It's just that we are on different floors. It's like an apartment building with 4 floors. Everybody's on a different floor. Everybody's got a different kitchen. But at the same time, when you have your sorrows, when you have your anxieties, when you have your nervousness, when you have your breakdowns in business or in personal life, you can all come down to the ground floor where your parents are there. You're lucky to have them with you, and share things, because most probably, most often than not, somebody, that's what my dad says, most often than not in a family, somebody themselves or a friend of theirs has gone through a similar problem that you're going through, and you'll find solutions inside the family. Yes, there
Hmm.
are challenges and within a family as well, but there are challenges without as well. So yes, it is very cultural. And now when I see a lot of people going through mental health and loneliness and depression and all of that, I feel a family helps in every which way. And a family can be defined, however you want it. But
Yeah, whether it's
uh,
your birth family or your selected family, but
yes, yes.
it's
So I have
bringing.
both. I have both. I'm blessed to have friends since I was 4 years old, who I still am very closely connected to, and I reach out to them whenever I want to. Sometimes every day, sometimes once in a month, sometimes after 6 months. But they're always there for me, and vice versa. So you need to have those people around you, and and that's when life remains normal. You remain human, and no challenge is then unsurmountable.
How do you make time for friends? And the reason I'm asking that is here in the West, maybe busy people in India can relate too. It's all about the money and make the money and running the business, and that requires a lot of time. And you run a big business, which requires a lot of time. So how do you create the time to spend with friends, whether it's a phone call or being with them in person?
So I don't know. I don't think I make time. I think I should make time. Like yesterday, before yesterday, I was telling my wife that for all the extended family in different parts of the world, everybody got married into different cultures and different communities, and everybody's got kids, but we're still cousins and all of that. So my kids should connect with them, and we should have a monthly Zoom call with 70, 80 people, kids from all over the world, just to say that here are people who we know and are we connected through lineage, through blood, different parts of the world. So that is the connection that I'm trying to make for my kids and those generations. As for me, I'm a very emotional person. I need to keep talking to my friends. So I just find an excuse before going to sleep or after waking up. I wish everybody on their birthdays. I wish their wives. I wish their kids. I just feel I feel very safe and not alone when I'm connected to my friends and their families. I think it's I do it for selfish reasons. I need the love.
Do you think a lot of people have lost contact with that value just in today's culture at large?
100%. I say that I teach and train a lot of senior. When I say senior, I mean very very experienced and entrepreneurs. And every time an entrepreneur doesn't have a family to go home to, you know about that in the questions that he's bringing to you. He doesn't have anybody to talk to. So people are mental. I say for the large, for to a large extent, not entirely, but to a large extent, mental health and all of these problems are just because we're not able to communicate. We come home to an empty house because I moved out of my home when I was 18, and then I went to, and then how I'm supposed to be. I'm an adult. And I say, why do I need to be an adult? I'm 44 years old. You see the cap I'm wearing, my t-shirt. I'm a boy. I just grew some white hair and worked very hard, and time flew, and I've got my own kids, but I'm still that 18-year-old boy who sometimes still, Anthony, I still feel anxious and scared, and I still reach out to my mom, and I have those conversations with her, and I say, Mom, I feel nervous about the future, and she's like, Avi, it's absolutely all right. And it's the same conversation I had 44 34 years ago when I was 10. And I say there's no harm in continuing to have those vulnerable conversations with people you love.
Why don't you think more people don't have the vulnerable conversations with people they love?
Because we are a sum total of the environment we grew up in. If we say it's okay, like I was always told that it's okay to share and talk and cry. And so as a 6 feet 3 inch 100 kilo man, I still cry. And I put some posts out there on Instagram as well, that the other day I had a dream that something happened to my mom, and I woke up crying, and I couldn't stop crying, and I kept calling her in the morning. She was not picking up my phone. And this was a few months ago. So because my parents said it's okay to do that, so I feel it's okay. If your environment thinks that this is not okay to do it, and at 18 you're an adult, and you better own up for everything that you do on your own, and you're not allowed to make mistakes. If you do, there are repercussions, and then you feel this is how life should be. So you have to then find a circle of people who allow you to say, you can, these are just shackles in your mind, and you can break through them. And then you do break through them, and you come back. The second thing that I feel is travel. When you travel to different countries and cultures, or even within the country, wherever, if you're living in India, or you're living in Canada or America, wherever, they're different. There's an amalgamation of a million cultures. Go to other people's homes for dinners and see how things are happening, and and pick whatever you can from there. The reason that people I feel a lot of people pick mentors because they don't have a lot of people at home. So uh, so yeah, it's an interesting world, but I'm glad that people like you have these kind of conversations or ask these kind of questions. So it gives other people a permission. It gives other people permission to say, yeah, sure, I can have that conversation as well.
I was having a similar conversation earlier inside our Facebook group called Embody Potential, and we're talking about the balance. And it really wasn't the balance, but the capacity that we have as a human being to dance the spectrum of the masculine order and feminine, the chaos. And so, and what we kind of landed on was, in order to increase our feminine, and again, it's not a man or a woman thing, it's a
Sure,
human thing,
of course.
is giving ourselves permission to feel, which it sounds like you had a great environment with your family to feel and express feminine. And then my other question then is, like, as a leader, somebody who's in business, how do you find kind of the balance between the masculine, the order, holding people accountable, and also having vulnerability? Like, how do you find that tension as a leader?
So again, a great question. So, and I deal with this every day, and I'm so happy you asked it because nobody's ever asked me this again. So it's like you're almost getting into my mind and seeing what happens. So I feel a lot, and I love that about myself, and I have no regrets about me being somebody who feels a lot. But then I am often not able to discipline this feeling, and I'll go out of my way to be vulnerable in front of in situations where I maybe need to be more army colonel situation, soldier like, and I've fallen flat on my face. But so the fight, or the inner tension between my innate nature and 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 what is needed in the present situation, which I'm and let me explain. So I don't have a problem if I became overly friendly with somebody in the office, or I became, and then they thought I was a friend, and then work didn't happen, and so that's that. I should then have the wherewithal and to be able to have another candid conversation with the person to say that was a different conversation and this is a different conversation. So that's one part. Even if you lean, there cannot be a fine balance. One day you're being too human, and the other way you're saying, you know what, I'm your boss and you need to get the work done right. So about 15 years ago, I could not sway between these two. Either I was too friendly or I was just a, but today I can, because I'm like, I can hold an objective conversation. But the problem is that how vulnerable are we to how vulnerable do we allow others to be, and how much do we allow others to use vulnerability as a cloak, as an excuse to hide their inefficiencies. So I have those. I've started recently. That's why I said it's a great question, because recently I've started having those conversations with my senior team members in the office and saying that just because I'm being vulnerable, you still hold me accountable to make sure that the salaries are paid and bonuses are there and growth happens and everything. Similarly, when I allow you to be, when I allow everybody to be vulnerable and we create a culture like that, I still hold you accountable to your promises that you've made to the company at large. So once we're able to draw certain boundaries around that, and some do blur, but most of the times people start understanding that if I can have a breakdown at office and talk to somebody like a friend, and at the same time the friend's like, okay guys, now it's time to start delivering, and because we had that 1 hour conversation, you feeling better now and let's get back to work. So both those things, and that's how we work at home, right? So if I have a conversation, if I'm not feeling too good, my mom makes me feel good and she says, I hope you get back to your kids and make sure your responsibilities are taken care of. So I am very idealistic. I feel a family situation can be brought in at the workplace. I can be firm with my kids. At the same time, I know I love them. But as long as my kids know I love them, they will take whatever firmness I'm giving to them. And I hope to bring that to the workplace as well, where people say that this guy is being firm, but he really has got our back. But that is an exercise in it's in process. So
Mm.
I'm still finding my feet around that
Yeah,
process.
thanks for sharing. What has been some of the fruit that you have seen in the business where you have this culture of vulnerability and accountability? What's the difference between just accountability or just vulnerability? What are some of the real world results you're seeing?
So so if or when I try to find results, so if I was sowing the seeds in this part of the farm and I was sitting down and waiting for flowers to bloom or plants to grow, they grew in the other side of the farm. And that's what happened at work as well. So if I invested time and emotional quotient with some people, maybe some other aspect of the organization or somebody else saw that, and those people blossomed as a result, and I got love or whatever back from there, as in terms of the balance between accountability and all of that. So it's never really, in my experience, I've not really found that very person coming back with what I expected them to come back with, but somewhere in the organization the flowers bloom, and people feel safe. And how do I judge that? Out of the 225 people, around 20 people have been with me for 11 years. So those 11 people are my those 20 plus people have been are my other pillars that are still running the company, and they've been with me for a while. So I think it's because I understand them, I get them, I do my best to allow them to feel that they're understood, and I need them and I want them, and I don't because my dad comes from a point of view of saying, don't let anybody think that you need them, then they'll take you for a ride. And I go just the opposite. I said, I need you. You are needed. You are very important to me. Because I think my dad could not have very candid conversations with people, because he said, if I needed you, then tomorrow if you ask for a raise, I'm stuck. So he always told people that I don't need you and I can do without you. I, on the other hand, said I really need you. And if there's a financial challenge and I can't give you the growth package that you're looking for, I expect you to understand just for the next 2-3 months, and I will come back to you with it. And I do make it a point to come back before the person says what happened to my increment. Here's the money that you asked for.
Mm.
So if you're able to be transparent like that, then people get it. But if you're
Another-
trying to be, like my dad was not very open with his emotions, so he always kept a thing like, I don't want people to come very close to me because I don't know how to handle when sort of shit hits the fan.
Totally. Yeah. I learned from Warner Earhart. He said there's pretty much two reasons people don't do something. They either don't want to be dominated by the responsibility of whatever's required, or they don't want to experience the vulnerability of intimacy that's required.
That's the second point, is very powerful. I like that.
And so it's interesting because, like, even looking at this dynamic between with your father, it's like, well, I don't want to say I need you, because if I do that, then my heart may get hurt, essentially,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
and that's the vulnerability of intimacy.
right. I like that.
Because a good leader, what you're doing and demonstrating is you're just being vulnerable. You're like even if it was as simple as like, like I teach connect with the truth, surrender to experience, and create outcomes. Connecting to the truth in this story would be like, there's a part of me that's really afraid that if I say I need you, that you're going to leave or you're going to hang me out to dry, because
Right.
in the past I have been taken advantage of, and that was really
Exactly.
painful. That's vulnerability, and that's
Yeah.
connecting to the truth, and he can breathe and experience it. But then there's still a way to do both, because it's not either or, which is
Sure.
like, well, I'm going to handle the responsibility or I'm going to be vulnerable. It really is an and also. That's where we
Right.
find power and leadership. So then there's a way of like being vulnerable, but then saying, so moving forward, how can you and I work together to make sure you stay here and work here for the next 20 years? Like, how can I
Right.
make your life that awesome?
Right.
And then
Love.
there's a
I love that.
co-creation, a win-win. And what I'm hearing you say is by bringing vulnerability into your culture, what you're experiencing is less turnover, which helps you
Well,
increase your bottom line over time.
like I said, there are still surprise elements. Like, 24 hours ago, or 26, 7, 28 hours ago, I was having a conversation with somebody who's been working with me for 4.5 years, and he resigned. We managed to have a nice conversation, and he took his resignation back. But yesterday, I told him, I said, how would you feel if I sent you an email without having a conversation and saying, you have to go in 3 months? I said, I felt the same way when you sent that email to me. So I felt bad. I mean, as a leader, this is not a conversation a leader should be having according to my dad's standards. You don't call your senior person and say, I felt bad. He says, nobody cares about you feeling bad. But I think I told him, I said, I felt bad. And you would feel bad if I sent you an email like that as well. So what can we do that next time an issue is there and it's brewing and I'm not in the same country and we're not able to talk as much, we talk about anything before you take a call like this. So we had a nice conversation yesterday, and it was uncomfortable for the first 10 minutes. And then we got talking and all of that. And after that, I did feel, did I become too vulnerable? Oh my God, did I give in too much? Maybe I should. Those afterthoughts always happen. But then I don't know how to change myself. And I don't know if I'm holding myself on or measuring myself on any yardstick of being a good or bad leader. Everybody who knows me knows that I have two awesome parents who've been entrepreneurs for the rest of forever. And they always hold me to high standards. My dad is like, the world can be a bad place, you need to be strict. My mom is like, the world is the most beautiful place and you need to be just who you are. So between both of them, I get through.
Amazing. What has been one of your biggest personal breakthroughs that you've experienced in life up to this point?
um Personal breakthroughs, I think, um well, I used to be extremely overweight when I was in high school, and that was torturous for me, because I was such an outgoing person. I love people, but every time I, met somebody, they couldn't stop making fun of the way I looked, and I was like, and I was in love with myself because I come from a family that we all loved each other, and I didn't see anything wrong in myself. So it took me years to change, and then I dropped drastically, lost a lot of weight. That changed everything about me. Then I had vanity, then I had ego, then I
Mm.
became slightly some of the people that I didn't want to be. And when I realized that very quickly, and then I came back to being my sensitive self, and I realized that I can never make fun of anyone. I just can't, because I went through all of that. So that was, I would say, one of my breakthroughs was that I can I can I can tuck my shirt into my jeans and feel good about it. And it's a good day when I'm able to do that, because for many years in my life I could wear only black clothes, and I could never wear a t-shirt. I would only wear super large clothes because I had to hide myself under that black and all of that. But that gave me a good sense of humor, because I wanted to get noticed, so I became funny automatically. That happens with a lot of people who are overweight. So that was one breakthrough. And in terms of the other breakthrough is, as I got into this coaching, training, mentoring business, uh, I've it's been almost a year. I gave up. I love to have a drink only on Saturdays, but I love my scotch. I stopped. And when I have my scotch, I love to have a cigarette on my Saturdays, and I look forward to the Saturdays. So I've stopped that. I don't have any more meat because it slows me down, slows down the body, slows down the digestion, everything. And I've given up sugar recently. So all these things are now more than, I don't know what are the health benefits. I'm sure there are, and I'm feeling better. I may be feeling better, but the thing is that I'm feeling amazing that I'm able to do all of these things and still still have a nice happy conversation, and I can still go out on the weekend with my friends to the same bar and not feel, oh my god, I'm not having fun.
Mhm.
So I think that is, I'm on the, I know I'm feeling the breakthrough. I'm going through I'm going through that, that I can do this.
What was your why for cutting out sugar, cutting out alcohol, cutting out tobacco? What was the reasoning?
See, what's been happening in the last 12 months is that we are getting a lot of work from entrepreneurs in Canada, America, UK, and these are very successful entrepreneurs who are coming to me and saying, you help me with to grow our business. And I'm saying, look at these people, look at the discipline, and look at the responsibility that they're trusting me with. So all of a sudden I was like, I cannot, because if I have a drink on a Saturday, I'm not the same person on a Sunday. If I'm having a lot of meat, I'm not the same person. I know that my energy is not the same. I can do whatever, I can show up very well on a webinar and impress people and sign them up, but I know that 2.5 days out of the 7, I'm not the same person, just because my eating habits are not, not in alignment with where I should be. So and I knew that this would show in my work, and I really love my work, and I'm on this, I'm on this journey. I'm like, I really want to be very good at what I do. I don't want to be number one or number two, because I don't think there's a number one, number two anywhere in this world. But I do want to be very good at what I do, and so therefore I had to, without making an announcement. Earlier on, I used to make an announcement. I'm doing this. This time, I didn't feel the need to make an announcement because I knew I was doing it just for myself.
Yeah, it's funny about those public declarations. Like I hear people, you need to make a public declaration. That's what's going to hold you accountable. I have personally experienced I have more accountability when there's this internal decision where I
Exactly.
just quietly go
You
do
are so right. Every time I tell somebody, it's like, "Oh, I've already said it. Now there's nothing holding me back." So it's like, "Oh my god," I lose the fire then.
Oh, that's so funny. What is a like a piece of advice about being successful that most people would say, "Hey, do this," but you disagree with?
Well, a lot of people say that you have to see. I love the power of working hard. That is something everybody else has. Everybody has. So you can bring that game. You can up that game whenever you want. But this a lot of people look for balance. Uh, I don't think there's anything called balance. So you work hard, and you're like, oh my god, my podcast is done, my work is done, my workshop is done. My god, 4 days I ignored the family. Next 4 days, give it to your family. Oh my god, I ignored my work. Go back to work. But you know what? During my travels to Puerto Rico, maybe I couldn't go to the gym every day. You come back and start doing the gym again. So the balance happens. I mean, so for me, what I started doing was I used to judge myself on a weekly basis. Now I judge myself on a monthly basis. Have I gone to the gym 20 times in the month? Have I done my webinars at least X amount of times? So if it's, as long as a monthly quota is fine, I don't judge myself on an everyday basis. That's not the kind of, so what everybody says is success may not be yours. My wife gets up at 3:45 in the morning, 4:15 she's at the gym in the morning, at 8 o'clock at night she's fast asleep. I sleep at 1 a.m. at night. So, and I stopped sort of kicking myself in the shin for me not having that kind of discipline. I have my own discipline which works for me. So you make your own success, whatever works for you, and if it doesn't, then slowly keep improving it.
I love it, man. So good. What are some of the biggest mistakes you've made along the way?
The mistakes that I made is that I knew that I love my friends, but when I knew that I wanted to level up some aspect of my life, and some of my oldest friends thought that that was not what I needed to do, I could have taken a break from those relationships and gotten myself into masterminds, which I did much later on in life. Today, for wealth planning, for digital marketing, and for coaching, I've got three groups of nine people each, and we are today like family. We are friends, and all of them. Every time we have, and we do weekly calls with all three masterminds, and every weekly call we say what's working. Everybody has to spend 10 minutes to say what's working for us. So it's essentially we're giving all other people value, saying this is what worked for me in the last 1 week and you should apply it as well, which means something really amazing should have worked for me to be able to share it. I can't show up saying, hey, this week I didn't do anything. So just to be on those mastermind groups, you have to be an action taker. So that has completely changed. And I wish in school and college when I heard all of this, because all these cliches, every marketing line is a cliche. But the unfortunate part is these cliches are so true. You're the sum total of the five people you hang out with. But I got to that much later in my life, and so that's one thing I wish happened earlier.
How did you find the masterminds that you're a part of?
So interesting. I always wanted to become a filmmaker and get into movies and do some storytelling. So in my head, I'm like a storyteller and I'm always thinking of myself like that. So 2 years ago, or no, 3 years ago, I was in Vancouver, Canada, and a friend of mine, Sid, who's one of India's top digital marketers, I called up Sid and I said, Sid, a lot of people in North America are doing masterminds and all of that. India is such a large, vibrant country, so much knowledge. Why don't we all get together, do something? He instantly said it's a good idea. And we started a WhatsApp group. It was called the Digital Masters of India. I don't know why we called it that, but that's what we did. And then he called one person, and then we went to small cities. And these people, most 50% of the people in the group were people who were not very extroverted, and they were not really going out there and talking about themselves and all of that. So we all met for the first time, 9 people from 9 different parts of India. India is like 50 countries within a country, so there are different cultures and different all of that. And we all met for the first time. The only thing was we all knew how to do email marketing and funnels and all of that. And it was awkward meeting at first, but then everybody started talking. And at the first meeting that we had at a hotel in India, I flew down from Vancouver. Everybody came in, and we were like, "Wow!" Everybody was blown away by what the other person had to offer, and so it was almost like the Ocean's 14, and where I went and we handpicked everybody and we made a team. So, and now we're doing a small YouTube series around the masters in India. It's called the Digital Masters Alliance. Once that happened, it just took our careers by to another level. So we had one of India's largest event companies, Success Gyan, support us, and then we had approximately 10,000 people events across the country. So 1,000 people events for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then 1,000 people. We went to every city. Within 1 year, we became the biggest known digital marketers in the country, like the self-proclaimed top. I mean, we said we are the masters. Everybody started calling us the masters, and it's like we became the boy band. And we're finishing a 3-day conference, coming and having dinner, and people in the restaurants are saying, waiting to take pictures with you and saying, oh, this is happening. And I'm like, I love all the adulation and love that we get. I was like, this is amazing. I learned so much from each and every master, and you get the success and the fame and the love and adulation. I was like, I need to do this for a fitness group or for myself, and I need to do this for a wealth planning group for myself. So everybody who's interested in stocks, mutual funds, wealth management, and all of that. So I got a few from my friends who were advisors and wanted to connect with people in different parts of the world. I happen to know a lot of successful people, so I brought them together. So we created that. And now, right now, as I talk to you, we are in the process of building a fitness group where all people keep themselves accountable and say, hey, this is what I did last week. So that is a complete game changer. That's been one of my biggest victories in life, to be able to be a part of these masterminds.
I have a small group of 5 people just on a Facebook Messenger thread. We just got together and we're like, hey, we're going to hold each other accountable for the year. We have no meetings or anything of that nature. We're just every single day we post in what we've committed to. So we
Nice.
not publicly, I guess we're secretly committing to one another. Hey, here's what I'm doing. So my commitment for myself, for my health this year, was doing X3, which is this workout that I do 4 times a week. And so my commitment was 4 times a week for 12 months consistently. Can't miss a single week. Doesn't matter if I
Wow.
travel, like it doesn't matter. I got to find a way to do 4 workouts out of 7 days. And then I started doing fasting. I bolted fasting on over the month of April. So, but it's been fun. My whole point in saying this is having the container where everybody's checking in.
Yeah.
It creates so much momentum. And I feel like it's like a secret power that few people take advantage of. I think oftentimes people think they need to be able to invest 25,000, or like when I was in Puerto Rico, it
I
was a
know.
$100,000 mastermind. And you can, and there's nothing wrong with those types of communities. But it can be a lot more simpler, where you just reach
Sure.
out to some of your friends or like-minded people who have similar values, and just holding one another accountable, and just having that little container to report in does magic.
100%. And your health and everything shows on you, my friend. You look fantastic, by the way.
Thank you so much. I was at this mastermind event. I'm 36 years old, and for whatever reason, people thought I was 26. I was like, I'll take
I would never have guessed you 36.
it. Awesome. Yeah, man, I'm 36, dude. And I
That's
eat
fantastic.
meat and sugar and all kinds of stuff. But I
That's
also,
fantastic. So I need to explore the X3 a little bit more, I think.
the X3 bar is amazing. It's just an 18-inch dumbbell. It comes with like four different elastic bands. And so it's all about resistance, tension. And you can dive into the science. It's super fascinating because unlike lifting weights, over time, as you get older, it's actually bad for your joints and your tendons and your ligaments. But with the resistance training, what happens is it actually strengthens your bones. So it prevents you as you age to not have osteoporosis and some of the different bone diseases. Plus, it's strengthening the ligaments and tendons that connect your joints. So it's actually making you more functional, while still, of course, making you lean and muscle building and releasing
Interesting.
HGH and all this stuff. But a lot of science packed into that little gizmo. And the workout's done in 12 minutes. You're done, like legitimately body shaking in 12 minutes.
Really, I'm definitely going to try it.
Yeah, check it out, the X3 bar.
Awesome.
Cool, man. Other question. I want to shift gears on digital marketing with you a little
Sure.
bit. So you have like your Ask Avi. I think it's a podcast. And I'm just curious. Did you model Gary Vee? Did you see what Gary was doing and just be like, you know what? Rather than reinventing the wheel, I'm just going to model what he's doing and just run with it. Is that kind of how you
Yes.
got into this game?
Yes. So I, for a brief period in Vancouver, I became a real estate agent, and I that was my handle, Ask Avi Arya, before I got to know who Gary Vee was.
Okay,
So I had
nice.
Ask Avi Arya for real estate, but that didn't fly. When I started following Gary Vee, that's when Ask Avi Arya was brought back to life. And then, yes, I modeled his TV show, his YouTube channel. He ran an agency. I run an agency. He worked for his father's business. I did. He talked about his family story 1 million times on video. I talk about my family 1 million times on video. And when I saw there were so many things that were common, and I was like, this guy's giving me a blueprint for success. I just followed it, and then I made a video of what I've been doing, and how and what how we learn from Gary and implement and all of that. We created a short video, sent it to his team. The team said, "Come to New York. We'd love to meet you." I went to New York, met him, met them. They said, "Would you like to meet Gary Vee?" I said, "Yes." Then Gary Vee has the TV episode, the YouTube episode. He had Daily Vee 100 in episode 24. He featured my conversation with him in his office, and we hit it off very well. We shared a very nice story, and then we decided to meet again for lunch. This time in Vancouver, Canada. So after 3 months, he was in Vancouver, Canada, where I went with my kids, took them for lunch with Gary Vee. That was the second meeting, and then we had another third meeting back in his office in Vancouver, in New York. So we had the opportunity to meet him a couple of times, and I'm hugely inspired by the gentleman, on how family for him is everything. That was what one thing that when he said I worked for my father's business and I did this and that, I'm like, dude, this is my story.
Well, I find it interesting because I think a lot of people here in America, they don't want to model because they think they have to be unique. And so I
Right.
think what you did was really intelligent because you're like, that's working for him. Why not? Why reinvent the wheel? Why not just run with it? And so what did you, or I guess the direct question is like, was there anything in you that ever felt like an imposter because you're modeling someone else? Or is it just like, no, like that's the blueprint. Why not just follow it?
Right. So the what I came so I my wife did bring it up in the early years to say, are you doing exactly what he's doing? And I said, what he says is that, just tell your own story. I said, I'm not telling people that I worked in a liquor store and I'm not a Russian immigrant. And I said, I'm telling people my story. I'm just following his model to tell the story. And he says, create multiple pieces of content and have a D-Rock with you, have people take videos. So I had a D-Rock with me for the longest time. So whatever he said, don't listen, don't see what I'm doing, do what I'm saying. So I did exactly what he was saying. And when I met him, I told him as an action taker. He said that's one of the reasons I said yes to the appointment to meet with you. So it all worked out.
I find it interesting, and this has been my experience as well. Anybody who creates something appreciates when someone else creates something. It,
Right.
it's like in gangster rap, they have a saying like "real recognizes real."
Right.
No, and I feel like in the creation game, creators recognize and appreciate other creators.
I think it's many of us, because of many circumstances in life, come from lack,
Yes.
and lack could be anything. It could be I have a lot of money, but I still feel lack.
Yep.
But people like Gary don't feel lack. And so when they don't feel lack, they let you know that, here, take it all, just take it, because they're so contained or self satisfied that they don't, if I'm insecure, which all of us are to some extent, if I'm insecure, then if somebody else is like, how did you follow my system and all of that? But today the world has changed. People are making blueprint and systems for others to completely copy and ape. So the world has changed. Today, everybody from Tony Robbins to Gary Vee to everybody is like, I've got a system here, go ahead, copy it and make it yours.
Yeah, dude. And if you could go back in time and give your younger self some wisdom to help you get results faster, what would you tell them?
I would say don't drink. I would say don't smoke. I would say lift weights. And people with good hearts but bad work ethics can be your friends once a month, but don't meet them every week.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Avi, where can people go to connect with you if they're looking for an agency? They want to find out more about your story. I know you help people create videos as well. So where can they connect with you?
So Instagram is the best. Ask Avi Arya. AskAviArya. I love connecting on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active. And yeah, so that's the place to find me and my team.
Awesome, brother. Well, thank you so much for being here on the show today. Appreciate you.
Not at all. My dad always says the most expensive thing you can ask from people is their time. I asked you for your time and you gave it to us on the last episode and today as well. Both the times I feel I've asked for your time. So really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad to have made this new connection and found a new friend who introduced me to this X3 thing, which I'm going to explore within the week and send you a video.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, my friend, Avi Arya in the house. I love talking with that guy. I don't know why, but I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like the dude is like soul family to me. Like, it's a little weird because like upon meeting him, I just felt like I had known him forever. It was kind of like he was this longtime friend that I've had. And once we met, it was just like we were reconnecting with one another, which was super, super, super cool. So that's all I have for this episode of the Anthony John Dynamics podcast. I hope it served you. I hope it's really inspired you to take your leadership to a whole new level. If you know someone who needs to hear this episode, please send it over to them in their DM, screenshot it, share it on social media, send them an email, a text message, whatever you have to do to get this episode into their ear holes. And also, please keep those 5-star reviews coming over on iTunes because that's what helps get this show found and serve a lot more people. So thank you so much for being here. Until next time, my friend, I'm out. Peace. Well, that's all I've got for this episode of the Anthony John Dynamics podcast, but we have plenty more to help you become unstoppable in life and business. So head on over to ajamix.com for exclusive resources, information, and tools to help you break through to a new level of freedom, purpose, and success. I look forward to having you back for the next episode. Bye for now.